Hi guys, today I want to talk about account-based sales. What does it mean, especially in 2020? How to implement it, and also we're gonna see a practical case study, a practical implementation using Principal. If you don't know, Principal is a software to create account-based content for your target accounts. I'll show you in a second, and there's a description down in a link in the description down below. So, account-based sales. So everybody has a little bit their own definition, but the idea is to treat especially your largest and more strategic target accounts as a market of one. So focus your sales team, and probably a part of your sales team, some strategic SDR, strategic BDR, business development representative, to target a small list or a limited list of named accounts, and really work on all the stakeholders within those accounts, and really communicate value on a one-on-one basis, specific for that target account, which is the specific target market almost. Obviously, this works better when the deal size makes sense in the context of enterprise sales, but also can work for even if you find a way to scale it, and Principal can give you a hand. There is also sort of mid-market extendable to up to some part of the mid-market, I would say. There's a number of whatever content online. If you search for account-based sales, for example, here I have a pretty great article by HubSpot. It's a sort of a big repo of different content, what it is, how to how to start, what's a possible playbook. But a lot of it that I found, that also talking to companies, I find it hard, is really how, where do you get started? How do you implement it? For example, like this hyper personalized approach, creating content for each account. How can you actually do it at scale? So what I wanted to show you is a practical example of a customer, of a user that is using Principal. So now Principal, it's a tool to create account-based content for your target accounts at scale. You can check it and create an account at useprincipal.com. What we're seeing here is the account, the real account of this user, WebCargo, and we just sanitize some of the information to make it public, and there are only two of their target accounts here displayed for illustration. But the idea here is WebCargo is a company is selling like a freight solution software to big freight forwarders and logistic companies. And here we can see they have in this account like two target accounts: Logwin, Pilot Freights, which are massive companies, multi-billion-dollar operations, and they target, in fact, like US, Asia, Europe, sort of these global freight organizations. And obviously their target list is much longer, but we'll only pick two. Now, what we see here, for example, for Logwin, is on the right-hand side of Principal, all the data that the system knows about this company. Now, these are a couple of points here. So the data were sourced in this case by an outsourced team, and I'll show you, how they are organized. And specifically, these are data points that are specific on the business of logistics. So nothing you would find in a pre-populated database. So, for example, what's the core focus of this a logistic company? They do air, they do ocean, they do contract logistics solution. How many, what are images of their, where the headquarters are, how many employees, what are images of their operation, and even more specific logistic data points: how many square meters of warehousing they have, how many containers they ship, what's their digital experience right now, and so on and so forth. So very specific data points. You may ask, but how do you source this? Where do you find this information? So these are all public information for the most part. You can either source them manually if you have time, if you have a person to staff doing this. You can outsource the research, and essentially what you do, you create a big spreadsheet with all the columns and data points you want to search. And then there are platforms like Upwork or others. You can easily find somebody that will help you create all this sort of database and research. or we can even our team can even help you. The principal team can help you doing this, carrying out this research, and maybe doing some, a little brainstorm and thinking with you on what the data points can be relevant for your industry. And by the way, if we go in the setting for this content template, we're gonna see that in the data source is really like this Excel, where there are two rows like Logwin and Pilot Freight, and each row has a number of columns, which are the ones that I show you in the in the panel, and these were sourced. Some of that was via API, some of that was sourced manually. So this is something you can do. You can, as I said, like you can set up yourself, or you can do it with the support of the principal team. But by the way, if you create an account, you'll be able to play with it. There are other videos that shows you how you can create your first piece of content. It's pretty easy if you want to start experimenting. Now, this data, they actually combine in principle with the master slide. So the other component to create any piece of content with the principle is create a deck, or which can be like a one pager, can be a multiple pages presentation. You decide what format it should have. But the idea is the deck is a sort of we call it template or skeleton, because it's just the framework of what you want to say, but then all the data points will be swapped and will be individualized for each account. So for example, here's a cover page for that WebCargo is sending to the customers with the analysis, saying that the analysis is being created for Merge company, which is the target account. It will have their logo. And then what's most interesting is like a couple of analysis pages where, for example, here what we're saying is, oh, we studied you. We know you're a big logistic providers. Your presence in X many locations. You have X revenues in terms of scale. And we know our understanding is you focus on this. You have some presence. You have in terms of operations. Here are whatever the scale of the operation, and in terms of business, the sort of what are the scale of the business operation. There are a couple of images specific on what you do. Even more interesting is like the next page. We'll also study your your spectrum, your portfolio of services, and we know you do, I don't know, for example, logistics, transportation, and vertical services, and I'll show you the final result. So this page is just giving the framework of what we want to say, and then, for example, next page, we'll say something like, in this case, you also have an online presence, and we studied it, we went through it, and so we know where you are digitally right now, and so then whatever, there are a couple of solution pages. So based on where you are right now, here is the solution that whatever, in this case, WebCargo can bring you, and articulating the value prop. And then whatever, there's a competitive slide and a final cover where the customer can even book a demo right away. So this is the idea, that's creating a framework. Obviously, what you want to say has to be created by you or with you. We can provide some templates, some training, but that's really like what you want to say. But then how can you scale it? How can you create it at scale for all the accounts? So that's what Principal does. So now we have the data, we have the master slide. Let's go see the final result that Principal made. So we have these two accounts, Logwin and Pilot Freight. For example, I can actually take Pilot Freight, it's the same, and we can open the slides. And here we're looking at the final presentation, the result of mixing the data and the skeleton. So you see here the cover page now has the name of the company, their logo, and here is really looks like a very individualized and customized analysis. So we know that you're in 75 locations with 800 million turnover. Here are, by the way, Pilot images of their shipping infrastructure. We know you have a certain presence. You ship 2 million shipments per year in 190 locations, in 190 countries, markets. You have 1,500 employees, but also we know that you do transportation, logistics, and vertical solution as services. These are all the different service categories they have on their website. These are one of their warehouse, one of their trucks. So it becomes very, very bespoke, and so on. So you get the concept. So you can, now here you see only one piece of content. We sanitize some of the the account detail, but obviously you can create there's no limit what you can create, right? So for example, within an account, you could define, within your target market, maybe you're going after different personas. Maybe you're going after the manager, you're going after the director, the VP. You can maybe go after different divisions of these multinational companies, maybe one country or the other country. So you could even further segment, and specify what content you want. You can even generate content for each persona individually with a cover page, talking directly to that person, and basically implying that you created this research for not just for that account, but to talk to that specific person. So this is the use of this is a lot in prospecting. Some people use it also in one-on-one meetings, because then you can edit the content, right? You could edit the slides if you want to add something more. And there are videos like this shows you how you can do this with Principal. You can download it as a PDF, or you can even copy the thumbnail right away in your email, or if you're using Outreach or Yesware or another sequence software, you can embed that into your sequence. So I hope that give you some practical ideas how to implement account-based sales, and with account-based content, really treating the target account as a market of one, and creating individualized value proposition and content analysis and business case for your target account. I'd love to know what you think about this. If you have any comment, any feedback or a discussion, we'll be happy. Feel free to reach out. We'll be happy to brainstorm how this can be applied to your case. And if you haven't yet, sign up for an account at useprincipal.com. Start experimenting today with your content and what you can build there. If you like this video, give it a like or subscribe to the channel. We're talking about account-based sales, sales development, how to use content at scale, and we'll be out with new videos and also how to practically show you how to make real examples and get started with this. So see you in the next video.